They forewent, is that the word? all of the sort of normal celebratory aspects of Eid al-Adha. And many of the Muslim leaders made speeches roundly condemning these attacks. I got glimpses of this in the media, but in terms of all the time that was spent on the siege and the negative images that people were getting from that coverage, there was really not the appropriate balance, because here was a community. Now, those were a few people with a horrific agenda trying to spread chaos. The people involved in how the Eid was celebrated in Mumbai, that was the Muslim community in Mumbai, you see. Those are the majority of Muslims. This is reflective of what the majority of Muslims think, And also the fact, for instance, that I don't know how many in the room know this, but and many in this room are well connected with the Muslim community because you're members of the Muslim community. But how many know, for instance, that the Muslims of Mumbai, now you could have Islamic jurists differing on this point for very technical and important reasons, but the spirit, I think, was well understood. The Muslim community of Mumbai refused to give a Muslim burial to any of the attackers who were killed. Now, I saw some eyebrows being raised here for educated, well-informed people saying, I didn't hear that, I didn't catch that piece. In my mind, as someone who's combating Islamophobia on a daily basis, it's a very important piece of information that people need to hear, because again, it reflects the values of the Muslim community, broadly construed. So that's, not, again, I don't think the media intended, we don't want to give any coverage to the fact that, I just don't think people were listening. The guns had silenced, the violence had quelled, these are the marketing dynamics. We don't have to be as interested in this anymore, but I think media has to be alert to these other issues that come around some of these events, in which the voices of ordinary people can be amplified and heard, instead of just the voices and actions of the radical few who are doing such great harm to the fabric of the human family. And that may be connected with the second category briefly, is just general ignorance, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way. But my friends in the media tell me, if you've got a story you think I need to write, or something I need to be looking at, call me and let me know. It's not going to be a guarantee we're going to do that story, but on my radar screen I've got so many things I've got to be attentive to. I might be missing something that's going on in this respect that we should be covering. So that's important, really, to establish the kinds of relationships that the Gülen Institute has established by inviting our distinguished panelists here today to share with you, their perspectives as professionals in the media. The third, unfortunately, is the darkest of all this, and this is editorial bias, explicit or implicit editorial bias, and intentional participation in Islamophobia. And I can't blame this on ignorance. Some of you may be familiar with the documentary, and I use scare quotes quite vigorously, Obsession. All right, so this is a DVD that was distributed during the presidential campaign in most of the swing states, hardly in any of the non-swing states. That was produced by an organization called the Clarion Fund. And this is one of these shadowy organizations. No one knows where this money comes from, where they get it, and it's done purposely. Which is a hate-mongering. It tries to put forth itself as a documentary, and of course it starts with a disclaimer: most Muslims are good, we love Muslims, don't get us wrong, and then spends an hour bashing Islam and decontextualizing all sorts of issues, historical and scriptural, sending the message really ultimately that belies that opening disclaimer, and that just tells people that Islam and Muslims are the greatest enemies of civilization and goodness and virtue that one can even imagine. Now,
so do you think the Republicans sent that out, or the Democrats?
No, I don't know who sent it out.
But from the tone of what you're
saying,
the tone,
it was certainly pro-McCain in that sense, especially with Barack Hussein Obama and all of this all these things that, you have to be careful of Barack, he might be a terrorist, he's a closet Muslim, all this stuff and Islamophobic elements that sort of made the campaign. what upset me most was not that some organization got some money and made this video. That's part of our free society. That ought to continue to happen, and we don't want any laws preventing people from doing this. We just want to be able to counter them when they do these things. But that video, that DVD was distributed with the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the LA Times, and a number of what we would normally consider to be reputable mainstream print newspapers around the country. You got it in the morning, in your Wall Street Journal, in your New York Times, if you were in a swing state. And there's a lot of this. This largely goes on in book publishing. If you see what appears to be an Islamophobic book on Amazon.com, like a book by Robert Spencer, for instance, who's a fellow Catholic and one of the most articulate and hard-working Islamophobes I know, buy the book. First of all, you need to be informed about what's in these kinds of texts. But the side benefit you'll get from that is Amazon will track your purchase, and then it'll say, "Oh, Mehmet or Scott or Julie, you were interested in buying Robert Spencer's book, The Truth About Muhammad, founder of the world's most intolerant religion, God forgive me. You'll be interested in these 5 other books that we have." And you'll see, I'm tempted to call it a cottage industry. It's not a cottage industry. It's a huge industry of Islamophobic material. A couple of Robert Spencer's books were on the New York Times bestseller list for weeks. Okay? And this is the kind of material that's out there. And we have to sort of make ourselves aware of it and try to work in partnerships with our friends in publishing, in the media, to try to deliver to the American public more balanced coverage that gives us the information we need to make the changes that our new president, for instance, has perceived to be necessary so that we can sort of make our own society here in the U.S. Safer and more dedicated to its fundamental values, and we can help other people in different parts of the world do the same.